Hello, friends. Uh, I want to go over today the L in goal. So we've been doing, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get this. Okay. So I'm practicing a talk that I'm going to weeks called Pressing On Toward the Goal. And it's about, you know, New Year's and goal setting and all that. And we said that um, G stands for get clear about what you want. O stands for own it. A stands for act as if, and today I'm going to cover L. And I encourage you to go back and watch the first three videos if you missed them. I'm Mary Dittman. I'm an award-winning business professor on the collegiate level and the creator of Wonderful Life and the author of How to Be Happy When You're Single and You Don't Want to Be Single. Okay, so L stands for little steps. Anytime you're trying to create a new habit or adopt a behavior, so in the video for A, I talked about if you want a different result, you need to do something different. And it's the doing something different that can be challenging because you've never done it before and you don't have that internal musculature to support that new habit that you want. And this is where starting small is so important. I mean, if you wanted to get in health, get in shape, get in health, if you wanted to get in shape, I hope you wouldn't say, okay, I'm just going to like get on a treadmill and run 5 miles. If you've never gone for a jog, I hope you wouldn't even say, I'm going to run around the block. I mean, you might just say, I'm going for a walk today. And if you can't even make it around your block, you might say, I'm just going to walk to the end of the driveway and back to my front door. And those little steps are critical because they help you build that habit that you want to build. But also, when you start small, you get a win. And when you get a win at something, that gives you a boost of dopamine, which feels good. And it also gives you confidence. And then when you have confidence, you have the motivation and the confidence to keep going. Let me give you an example. So I used to, my way of cleaning out my dresser used to be all 6 drawers in the dresser, take them, dump them out on the floor, and start organizing. And what would always happen is I'd get through about 2 of the 4 drawers, and then I'd start to like melt down. I'm exhausted. I'm overwhelmed. I'd be sitting in a pile of stuff. And I called one of my mentors one day and she said, what are you going to be doing? And I said, I'm going to clean out my dresser. She said, no, you're not. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to clean 1 drawer and call me back. So I did that. I got 1 drawer perfectly organized how I wanted it. And I called her and she said, okay, what are you doing for the rest of the day? I was like, I'm going after those other 5 drawers. She said, no, you're not. You are going to every time you walk by that 1 drawer, you're going to stop, open it up, take a look at it, and admire it. And she said, and tomorrow you may do 1 more drawer. And I didn't understand that at first. To me, it was frustrating. Like, well, why wouldn't I just go ahead and do it all right now? But see, she knew that my pattern was to get very overwhelmed. So I did what she said. And what I learned from that was that by just doing one small part of the project, it gave me that dopamine of like, wow, look at this, looks great. Dopamine is motivating. Okay, that's the hormone in your brain that helps you be motivated. There's a class of antidepressants that are dopamine reuptake inhibitors because frequently when you're depressed clinically, you just don't have the get up and go. And that's what dopamine gives you. And ever since that day, what I've learned is if I want to clean out my closet, I don't do what I used to do. I don't take everything out of the closet and throw it on the bed. I will say, I'm only going to work on this one little section, or I'm only going to work on short sleeve blouses. And I do a little bit at a time. And that's how I can keep from getting overwhelmed. But then also, that decluttering becomes a habit. It's not something I do once a year, it's something I'm doing on a weekly basis. So if there's something that you want to do, start with just little steps. Maybe instead of saying, um, I'm going to completely change. No, here's another one people do sometimes. I'm going to stop drinking soda. Well, if you're used to drinking 6 sodas a day and you stop cold turkey, that's going to be tough. Instead of even telling yourself, I'm not going to drink soda, why don't go ahead and drink your 6 sodas, but just have 1 bottle of water on top of that? My housekeeper did this. She was really hooked on sweet tea. And, you're drinking your calories then, and she wanted to lose weight. And what she started to do was she just started to replace. So if she drank 5 big cups of sweet tea, she would drink 4 sweet tea and 1 water for a week. And then the next week it would be 3 sweet tea and 2 waters. And then the next week it would be 2 sweet teas and 3 waters. And then the next week it would be 1 sweet tea and 4 waters. And then, a half. And she weaned herself, and now she just drinks water and it's fine. But she started off slow. So find what would be the littlest thing you could do towards accomplishing your goal. And that's how you create a new habit. That's how you adopt a new behavior. You do a little. I'm also a fan of while you're at it. So I had wanted to um, be more intentional about my daily prayer time. But I noticed that, like, when I'm just sitting in my chair praying, I get distracted. So what I started doing was every morning when I go for my walk, that's my dedicated prayer time. And I pray out loud. That helps me stay focused. I'm sure my neighbors just are like, there's that crazy woman who's talking to herself. But while I'm at it, so I'm walking and I'm praying. That's pretty good. And I feel like God probably doesn't mind it, because in Genesis we're told that every day he would come down to the garden and walk with Adam in the cool of the day. So he must like to have conversation on a walk. Um, if you're Another thing that I like to do is while I'm driving, I listen to a podcast. So I'm driving where I need to go, but I'm listening to something that's going to help me. It might be something informational or educational. So that's while you're at it, doing something, combining things. Now, multitasking, how a lot of people think of it, doesn't work. So, like, if I was um, trying to do this Facebook Live and answer texts, that usually doesn't work. Or if you're trying to write a report and check your email, your brain can't task switch like that very effectively. You end up taking longer to do both things and not doing either one of them very well. So that's not what I'm talking about as far as multitasking. What I'm talking about is if you have something where your brain doesn't need to focus a lot, you can combine it with something that your brain can focus on. So, like walking and praying, driving and watching or listening to a podcast. Now, I understand you need your brain to drive, but when you're just driving the same way you drive all the time, your brain isn't, you're not paying super attention, because sometimes you get there and you're like, dang, I don't even remember. Or like you kind of come to and you're like, where am I? You're just going the same way you always go. So little steps, just what would be the smallest thing? And a lot of times we think, Well, that's not going to make a difference. I mean, if I walk down the end of my driveway and walk back, that's not going to matter. No, walking to the driveway and back one time will not matter. But if you do it today and you do it tomorrow and you do it the next day, and then next week, instead of walking down to the end of the driveway, maybe you can walk to your neighbor's house. Speaking of checking text messages, turn that to silent. Maybe next week you're walking to your neighbor's house, and then maybe the week after that you're walking to the end of the block. But you're slowly, incrementally building up that internal musculature that you need to sustain that larger habit. So there you go. Pressing on toward the goal, GOAL. Anyway, I hope that something that I shared with you today will be helpful for you. And I do want to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.